This is probably one of the creepiest things that I'm going to show you on this channel. And it's not even the files. Isn't that kind of crazy? Before we get started, guys, please give me a like and subscribe. That is all I ask you all for. I do not ask for money. I do not ask for, actually anything from you guys really other than that. I don't have advertisers. Nothing along those lines. I just want to jump right into the news and grow this channel. Thank you all so much for being here. I genuinely appreciate you all. Debate heats up over Quebec's doctor's stance on euthanasia for newborns. And Canada's MAID program linked to 5% of 2024 deaths. That's disturbing. Now, look at this post here. Tim Pool saying, we must liberate Canadians from Canada. This is Catherine Krozonsu. Oh, crap. Okay, Krozanowski? Good Lord, you Polish people. Or whatever you guys are. Whatever you all have skis. How did the ski clan come up here? Is that what it is? The ski clan and then whatever ridiculous notion y'all put before that? Is that how that works? Oh, man. All right. Anyway, how does MAIDs work? Well, I'm glad that this is absolutely not legible whatsoever, so I'm gonna... Yeah, I can't read this. I can't read this at all. How are people reading this? How does MAID work? Let's see. The person having MAID will get 3 different... whatever the crap that is that I can't see because it's so blurry. Medicines? I think that says medicines. They are usually given an IV. IV stands for introvert. Yeah, we know what an IV is. And yeah, I can't read this. I can't read this at all. There's what is this? Oh my gosh. Okay, how about I do this? How does MAID work? Maybe I could find the freaking thing on here. Wow, what an... Okay, well, I'm not gonna... I guess I'm just not gonna read that. Good. Okay, good job. Anyway, we're gonna go down here because this is so bad. What is this? Okay. My bad, guys. Anyway, Canada wants to end babies. Canada is planning to start ending children's lives as they are born. The Quebec College of Physicians wants to end disabled newborn babies under their euthanasia program. Babies who cannot speak, cannot choose, cannot defend themselves. They are calling it medical assistance. It is murder. A baby born with a disability is not a burden to be eliminated. They are a human being with every right to live. Canada has already euthanized 76,475 plus people since 2016. They started with the terminally ill, then the mentally ill. Now they're coming for newborns. Killing an innocent child should be prosecuted as a crime, not celebrated as a compassionate healthcare. This is pure evil. This is what you would call the latest term of abortion. I can understand, to a degree, terminally ill people, right? And I can understand newborns who literally cannot live without a machine pumping air into their lungs. I understand, okay? To a degree. But this is going way beyond that. This is literally going to, oh, well, the baby has a slight deformity. Oh, he's going to have a little bit of a harder time eating throughout his life, you know. Maybe it'll slip down the wrong hole every now and then. Or they're missing an arm or a leg or something. These are people who can literally live without machinery in their lives that they've just deemed, well, life will be hard for them, so just, you know, why not? This is sickening. This is sickening. For the most part, I'm still against taking out anybody who's mentally ill, per se. Taking out anybody who is, actually, mentally ill wasn't even on that subject for me. Taking out people who are terminally ill is what I meant to say. I'm still against that. You know what I mean? I have somewhat of a sympathy for somebody who's writhing in pain and can't live without just having liquid IV pump in morphine to their veins. Because what kind of life is that? They can't even function anyway. And without it, they're screaming in pain. Yeah, I get putting someone out of their misery. I could definitely sympathize with that. Do I think it's right? No, I don't actually think it's right. But I can understand it. If you all have ever seen anybody just writhing in pain in front of you, like, that's some sort of way to live. It's hard to see. It's much easier behind a computer screen to be like, no, it's wrong to put someone down like that, right? It really genuinely is. And I understand that. And I also understand that there are, you know, there's scripture and other things like that, other arguments against it. But until you actually see somebody just screaming in pain right in front of you, then you're like, oh my God, this poor person. Like, you want to do something, you know you can't do something, and you're just seeing them suffer. You know what I mean? I get that. But what are we doing here? Newborn babies? They're not coming out screaming in pain most of the time. Now, if they, like I said, if they can't live without any type of machinery and they're just in a hospital and they're just, you know, just completely tied down, things all everywhere, and they never get better, and it's impossible for them to get better. I have some sympathy for that too. But oh my gosh, they're putting mentally ill people down? They're not even in pain. They're just dumb. You know what I mean? I mean, not to be insensitive. But you understand what I'm saying, right? Mentally ill people, just because they're mentally ill and they're not capable of, like, I don't know, determining right from wrong per se, we put them in a home. We don't end them. Unless they actually end somebody else's life. Then that's, you know, different. Grok, is this true? Canada is truly enacting this kind of unspeakable evil. The Quebec College of Physicians has proposed expanding medical assistance in dying MAID to include severely ill newborns, but this is not current law in Canada. As of February 2026, MAID eligibility requires being at least 18 and mentally competent. Discussion continue. Well, then how are they going to do this for mentally ill? But yeah, so far it is just a proposition. This is why they're saying Canada wants to end babies, not Canada is ending babies. But the fact that people are coming forward and the fact that they are trying to expand upon something that we already said was a slippery slope. Well, we said this was going to happen, right? I know that we shouldn't get our cart in front of our horses. I know this isn't happening right now. But the fact they are proposing it is what's terrifying. Now, looking through all this, you know, Health Canada's November 2025 report revealed 16,499 MAID cases in 2024, up 6.9% from 2023 and accounting for 5.1% of all deaths. There is no way those were people just suffering. With 67% involving cancer patients, but 17% of those without a foreseeable death, like chronic condition sufferers. Critics highlighted cases like Mrs. B, an elderly woman who wanted palliative care, but received MAID same day after her husband's caregiver burnout comment, and raised fears of cost savings projected at $149 million annually. Supporters defend it as a dignified choice for unbearable suffering, while the program, legal since 2016 and expanded in 2021, faces further scrutiny ahead of mental illness eligibility in 2027. Think about it. These are people not in their right mind to even be able to say that they want to be a part of this program. This is literally going, you know what, you're mentally ill. I don't want to deal with you anymore. You're a bit of a burden on me. I'm going to put you in the wood chipper. I can understand people wanting to get to that conclusion. I can understand somebody who's probably in their 80s that's taking care of somebody in their 40s, 50s, 60s, or, you know, possibly 70s, I guess, depending on how young they had their kid. If they were 16, they'd be 86, and then they'd have literally a 70-year-old mentally ill person that they're still taking care of. And they're just like, you know what, I want my final piece of years. Probably really where this is coming from. But at the end of the day, you can also put them in a home. Does it make you feel less guilty knowing that they're not around anymore? So there's nobody sitting there waiting to wonder where their parents are at? Is that the deal? So you just go ahead and put them out of their misery? That's probably realistically where a lot of that would come from, if I had to guess. I will never be okay with MAID interfering with somebody who is not mentally capable of making this decision themselves. That is an absolute red line. I can be okay with Canada assisting in certain things like that. I can be. But the moment that they proposed this, we were all like, this is not the way it's going to go. And guess what? It ain't the way that it was going to go. So short on time. So very little time has passed. And already this is where we're at. Big shocker. Good job, Canada. You guys are leading the country, or leading the entire world in which country is the most retarded country out there. Thank you all so much for watching, though. Tell me what you all think about this down in the comment section below. I understand if there are many, many faithful Christian people in general who disagree with my takes on this. But I didn't say I agreed with them being allowed to do it. Because at the end of the day, I actually disagree that it should be legal at all. But this is also another country, so I'm not going to give too hard of an opinion. I will say no, 1,000,000% for the United States. Other countries, you go do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not interested in policing the world. But at the end of the day, I could still put myself in their shoes and say I understand in situations where people would want it to exist. That's all I'm actually trying to say. I understand the perspective of people going, hey, I just had a newborn. This newborn will never be able to leave the hospital ever. I can understand coming to the conclusion of putting them down and not giving them crap for it. Because it's like, yeah, options are very limited. I understand. I also understand the situation where someone's writhing in the ground, or just absolutely writhing in pain. I understand that too. Situations outside of that, unless it's death penalty, of course, but we're not even talking about that. I disagree with. Every other instance, I disagree with. But tell me what you all think down in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.